Mr. Andy, you said that okay, you have visited many temples and you also meet many people, but people is one thing, but I assume that the temple, the monument themselves are also something very special. So when you walk around the temple, still filled in jungle, isolation, let's say a village or a town that 1,000 years ago there were so many people, coming to pray, coming to live together, and now it is covered in forest. So when you see those things, do you imagine anything, or do you know? I mean, how do you tour the temple? How do you see it architecturally, artistically, historically? What is your approach, sir?
Good question. Yeah, one of the things that really interested me and was a question always was Cambodia had this amazing empire from, you can say, from the 6th to the 13th century, and they were building so many temples, so many amazing temples. But now the temples lie on their own, covered in forest, covered in jungle. Nobody tends the temple. Nobody makes sure the temple isn't falling down. So that was the question. That was always the question. And I never really satisfactorily got to the bottom of the question, because the local people who lived around the temple, they lived there because they'd always lived there. Their families had always lived there. Yes, they knew it was a temple, but they didn't really go and pay respect to the temple. They just left it alone. They were too busy living their lives, farming mostly in the remote communities. And so that was always a question. Obviously, some temples were really well looked after, like Angkor Wat.
Yeah. Those are the big ones, of course.
Yeah. So some of the big temples in the Angkor region were well looked after. But if you went to Bante Chamar, if you went to Prakan Kompong Svai, if you went to Koh Kay, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, nobody was looking after those temples. And so there was always that question. And of course, you mentioned earlier on about landmines. That was always a possibility as well, especially around places like Koh Kay. When I first went there, it took 7 hours to get from Kompong Tom to Previhir city, and then another 5 hours to get to Koh Kay, because the road was the track was so bad, and we could only visit, I think, 3 temples that first visit, because the local policeman said all the other temples have landmines. Now, whether they did or not, I wasn't going to argue with him. Yeah. So the first time I went to Koh Kay, it was an amazing experience, and climbed the pyramid at Koh Kay. Fantastic experience. And it's one that's, again, stayed with me all these years. And Koh Kay is one of my favorite places to go. Yep.
Yes, Mr. Andy. So you in your book, I read it a little bit on the internet because there's a preview.
Yeah.
I think in page 47.
Oh, right. Okay.
You mentioned something called Angkor in the rain.
Yeah.
I think you try to associate the idea with the green season, the rainy season, and also right now people are on the internet. I think they are talking more and more about Angkor green season, maybe because this year Cambodia received a lot of rainfall, so the stones are very green right now.
Sure.
So from what I can tell, this is not really a new phenomenon.
No.
It's actually what you said since 2010 or 11. So what is your impression of Angkor under the rain, sir? You mentioned that the rain is not week long, it's not days long, it's only in the afternoon for a few hours, very predictable. So you always feel like, okay, Angkor under the rain has always been the go-to time for any tourist. Is that what you try to convey, Mr.?
No.
No?
Is the answer. Okay. Because actually, for me, as a visitor of only a few weeks in Cambodia, I would only come for 3 or 4 weeks. The rainy season was a no-no. because it stopped me traveling and it stopped me investigating these remote temples. You cannot get to a remote temple if there's a lot of water. So I used to avoid the rainy season, the green season, and come during when it was really hot. Very difficult to explore, but it meant that I could access all of the places I wanted to get to.
Yes.
Even so, some temples, surrounded by water, you have to wade through the water to get to the temple, but that's okay. So actually, I understand what you mean, because over recent weeks, there's been a spate of these videos of people recording the moss, the green moss growing on the sculpture,
something like that.
And it looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic. But for a temple hunter like me, I used to call myself a temple hunter. For me, it was the most difficult part of the year. Obviously, when I came to live in Cambodia, I fully embraced the green season. And as working in travel, we tried to promote the green season of Cambodia to get more people. But
at the same time, it is not easy to travel during the green season.
No.
So how do you balance it?
Yeah. No, it's okay now because Cambodia can use the green season as an attraction for tourists to come, if you like, in the off season, because it's not the high season. And the roads now in most places are pretty good. So any traveler, any tourist who's going to come to Cambodia is only going to go to the main places, and the roads, etc., is not a problem in the rainy season.
Yes, Mr. Andy. But back to the idea of you saying that, okay, you are the temple hunter. I think this is a good name, of course. So for me, during the last, let's say, 1 or 2 years, I also try to go beyond the Angkor Park.
Sure.
I mean, it's not too far away from Angkor Wat, maybe.
No, but I've seen some of your reports and they're really good.
Yes. And also, in my own opinion, I also try, especially for temple enthusiasts, to try to go beyond what they offer you on the tour paper.
Right.
And also just to see how large it is, just to see how remote it is, and also just to sense the idea of what could the image would have looked like when, for example, the French explorer came to Cambodia 100 or more than 100 years ago. So if you were to give some advice to, let's say, future young Cambodian who have explored pretty much the Angkor Park and want to go further, is there anything you want to tell them? Maybe try to do something like that, or is there any challenges that you can tell them?
First thing is to research before you go. So try and find out as much as you can. If you identify one temple or a group of temples that are remote and not part of the regular route,
circuit,
then do some research, because now actually there's a lot of information online about temples in Cambodia. So in the 1990s there was nothing. But now there's a lot. So research before you go. You asked me earlier on about how did I view the temples? Was it from a historical perspective, architectural? No, because I never had any historical, architectural, archaeological experience. I was just somebody who, over time, grew this passion for the temples and for the Khmer Empire and for the sculpture. And so I would say just research before you go, have a good understanding of what you're going to see, but then go and see it with your eyes and either do a video or write about it in your own voice. Don't copy anybody else's voice, do it in your voice. Also, don't just go to if there's still a building, don't just go there, look around, because often in the undergrowth, you will find pieces of carved stone. I found some amazing pieces of carved stone, faces, all this sort of thing. away from the temple, not too far away, maybe up to 100 meters, but look around. Don't just go to the one thing and concentrate on that. Look around, take it all in. Because,
and also the villages around the temple.
You know, good point, because I remember going to Banteay Chamar in 1999 or 2000, something like that. And Banteay Chamar, big temple, massive temple, fantastic temple, but it's got these satellite temples around, you know, that people never visit. But go to those satellite temples. They are incredible. You walk through the forest and you see these massive faces just come peering out of the trees. And then you stop at the house next to it, and they've got pieces of sculpture that they've picked off the floor and just put in their, if you like, their garden next to their house. And you wouldn't see that unless you go to meet the people or visit the houses. So don't just head for the main thing. Have a good look around and talk about it or see it in your own perspective, your own voice.
Like you mentioned, such as the satellite temple of Bakong.
Yeah.
People still build their kitchen right to the monument.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
meters away from the monument.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sometimes you might find a small temple in somebody's back garden. Like it's a great place for those type of experiences, Cambodia. And as I said, because there's so many small temples around the kingdom, then you can find your own special little spot.
Yes, Mr. Andy. Maybe also the last question, because you have worked also, like we have mentioned, in the travel industry, film industry. So there are still, debate, but not a very big debate, but still a debate that, okay, Cambodia should not promote only temples. We should diversify, tourism aspect in Siem Reap and beyond. So from your perspective, personally, from your perspective, what should we, let's say, expand on top of temples to the Western Hemisphere, for example?
I think it's the temples are important because they give Cambodia a real identity and an understanding that Cambodians, in the 12th, 13th century, were at the top of the tree in terms of their kingdom, overseeing the kingdom, building temples, building these structures, amazing sacred temples to the gods. In terms of other things that people can come and, it's the people, get to know the people. I don't speak Khmer very well.
But you can feel Khmer.
Yeah, but I learn a few words. If you speak a few words to Cambodians, they will love it because they feel you're taking the time to learn a bit more about Cambodia and about their culture. So it's the people, it's the temples, but there are other things in Cambodia. Cambodia's actually been doing a really good job in promoting the other sides of it, whether it's going to see bird watching or kayaking up the Mekong River or hiking up temple like Kulen or places like that. Then there's lots of other things that Cambodia has done really well in promoting. They just need to keep pushing it, keep pushing that promotion, because a lot of people, yes, not everybody wants to see temples. They want to diversify, so visit the temples, visit a floating village, go and see things like Apopo rats in Siem Reap, the big landmine sniffing rats and things like that. There's lots of diversification that can happen. They just need to keep doing that, keep promoting that. As I said, the main thing for me has always been the people. The temples were a good excuse to get out and about, but I've always found, Cambodian people so welcoming that that's one of the highlights of coming to Cambodia.
Yes, Mr. Andy. And also my last question for the interview today. Now you're retired, but at the same time you are an independent researcher.
Yep.
And I think you research on Khmer art around the world, something like that.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if you can share some of your findings over the years?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so I retired a couple of years ago. So I worked for 15 years with the Hanneman Group in travel, film, and television. You know, so we helped to make Tomb Raider. We helped to make a fantastic Cambodian film called The Last Reel, and we did lots of overseas productions for BBC, National Geographic, that type of thing. So quite exciting, hard work. But so I did that for 15 years. I also worked for Phnom Penh Crown Football Club as their media officer for 7 years. So I've been involved in quite some interesting aspects of life in Cambodia. So I thought, okay, I'm getting old now. What do I do in my retirement? Well, I've always had this fascination for temples, sculptures, and so I then started doing research on particularly Cambodian art that's overseas, in overseas museums.
So you travel to overseas?
No. Mostly online.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been to the Guimet Museum in Paris, which has got an amazing Cambodian collection. And I've been to a few other museums, but mostly online. And I wanted to see these overseas museums, what do they show in terms of Cambodian art? And I think there's at least 105 museums around the world with Cambodian art in it. So I do a lot of posting on Facebook because Facebook is a very popular social media presence in Cambodia. So I write about the overseas art in Cambodian overseas art, but also the art in the National Museum, the Angkor National Museum. And I also go to visit. So the other day I went to Battambang Museum.
Yes.
A great collection, really good collection. I had a really good chat with the director there. And so over the next few weeks, I'll be posting nearly every day about the Battambang Museum. And that helps promote these smaller museums. Like there's a museum in Kampong Chenang, in Kampong Tom, and very rarely does anybody go there. But if I can help promote them a little bit, that's good for me.
You plant a seed in someone's mind for the future.
Yeah, and I've been to a lot of these smaller museums. They don't see any visitors, even very few Khmer. But what is encouraging is that places like Kampong Chenang or Pusat, they are inviting all the local school children to come and visit and to teach them about the different things on show, you know, the small objects, maybe a lintel, maybe a sculpture, maybe a pot from the Angkorian age. And so the provincial museums are doing quite a good job with the local school children, I must admit. Very happy to see that. Yeah.
So after requirement, you still have a lot of exciting work to do.
Oh, there's so much to do. Yeah.
So much to do.
And there's so much to do, not enough time in the day. I want to carry on telling people who, if they read my Facebook page, then I want to tell them the good things about Cambodia, and specifically from a historical and sculptural basis. Cambodia's had amazing last few years in being able to return sculptures that have been looted and stolen. So that has been a main focus of mine as well, because the sculptures are still coming back. And the thing about the Cambodian National Museum is it's ran out of space. It doesn't have enough space. So they need a bigger place to show all these things, because the pieces that were stolen and are now coming back are some of the best pieces. That's why they were stolen, because they were so good. And now they're coming back. We need a place to display them and show them off to the Cambodian people in particular, so they can understand more about their own history and their culture.
I see, Mr. Andy. So thank you so much, Mr. Andy, for providing us with your very detailed description of your time in Cambodia and also the knowledge that you have gained along the way.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Andy.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.